second broadcast after I close these annoying prompts on my screen. Let's see here. There we go. Let's sign into chat. I can't just pop out the chat. Wow, that's a bummer. It's a real bummer, man. There we go, and I can pop it out. Excellent. Now the chat window is in place. This is looking smooth, y'all. Okay. So I got just a couple of things. I went ahead and made sure that I actually am on the right network now to do some mobile debugging. So I've got my mobile phone here. Need to get myself a... Ooh, I just realized that I nearly took home the Windows cable that I was borrowing, so that would have been a bad thing. All right, so I do need to announce the broadcast. Okay, let's see, so it's YouTube, this guy, live. Okay, whoop, Inception. Okay, so all the small formalities out of the way, I can now proceed to do what I set out to do to begin with. So I actually now have now for those of you who weren't weren't present rather on the first broadcast, I wanted to set up Fiddler so that I could do some remote debugging and actually capture my mobile traffic through the computer so that I could manipulate some of the pages, some of the responses, and try to figure out what it was that was causing one particular site to immediately invoke like a blur effect on, not blurry like, blurry, but a blur effect in web development terminology, which takes the focus away from an element right whenever you give it focus to begin with. So if you recall, there was this issue. Let me see if I can open it up here. I might, yep, okay, so we have this site right here. This is some, little site, but you could scroll up and down a little bit, and whenever you would click on a field, the keyboard would come up, but then it would immediately go away. So let's click one more time. Comes up, goes away. That was the issue that we wanted to troubleshoot. So, yeah, I need to open up Fiddler. I need to actually load that page in there. I need to set up an autoresponder, start to play with some of the JavaScript that is loaded up in there, see if we can figure out whether or not the manipulation that's taking place on the viewport meta tag is what is causing the keyboard to retract instantaneously whenever you actually give focus to the input. So that is what I'm going to be looking at right now. Once I figure out how to get my cable all squared away. That's not right. Let's see. Okay, so now I just lost that page. Let's see here. There we go. Cool. So what I need to do is I need to get the IP address first from my desktop machine. So I'm going to run command. Let me get this out of your way. And I'm going to grab my IP address just by running the ipconfig command. And I'm looking for my IPv4 address. So that is 10.106.176.22. I'm going to go ahead and put that off to the side here. And I need to open up Fiddler. And let's see, once I'm inside Fiddler, I can actually probably switch my screen to show you the full screen here. So now you should see Fiddler, you should see my IP address here. Let's see, where is it? There we are. This is on the Surface Book, so I'm going to turn off capturing. Now you notice if I go to Tools, Fiddler Options, I believe it is Connections. Yep, so you'll see here that we can allow remote computers to connect. So that's exactly what I want to do. I want to make sure I have that selected. Fiddler listens on port 8888. So next up, what I need to do is go in and set my Wi-Fi settings on my phone. So I'm going to go ahead and open up that. I'm going to go to All Settings, Network and Wireless, Wi-Fi, and then I'm going to, let's see here. Once it finds, there we go, I'm going to press and hold on the Wi-Fi connection that I'm currently on and hit Edit. Now I can go ahead and, let's see, I'm going to share this screen here. So we'll do project my screen. So now what you're looking at is my phone. You can see that I'm on the MSFT open account. So this is one of the Wi-Fi options for me here. I'm going to go ahead and change proxy, use manual setup. And now this is asking me for the address, which is going to be my IP address. So if I kind of reduce this again, what I want to put in is my IP address down here. So we're going to do 10. What was that? 106.176. Last set is 22. Next is the port. If you recall, Fiddler listens on port 8888. So we'll jump over here real quick. You can see that port right there, 8888. So I've got the port and I have the address correct. So we'll accept that. And we'll jump back into Edge. So actually what I want to do is I want to close Edge, close all my other windows here, and we'll close that one, and we'll close this one. And I want to just open up Edge from scratch. So you notice there's already some activity that's happening here on my Fiddler here. So there's going to be a security certificate issue because now I'm going through Fiddler. So obviously we are no longer enjoying the luxuries of a secure connection. I do believe I have to install the Fiddler certificate. Now that part, we'll continue this page. That's okay. Yeah, I'm going to have to install the Fiddler certificate on my phone. And that part I am not remembering. So that's actually, that process involves going to the IP address to Fiddler, and let's see here, look at my actions. So connections. I wonder if there is a resource here that will actually show me this. Yep, let's see. I had this configured once before, and I went ahead and just wiped out my phone configurations. So now we no longer have this set up. Let's see. So I'm going to have to go through and figure out again how I add. This is basically what I'm seeing right here. So you can see I've got the security page. Right now I can go ahead and open up my settings. Go to my ease of access, more options, draw that text scaling down to 130, 140-ish or so, and then drop back into Edge. I can then see that page a little bit easier now. But what I need to do, I need to actually see how I'm going to accept the Fiddler. Need to see how I'm going to accept the Fiddler security certificate. So let's see. This is going to be configuring Fiddler. Let's see. Let's just do a search in the Telerit documents. I might have it here. Configure Java, nope. Configure WinHTTP, nope. Capture traffic from another machine. This might be what we're looking for. Trust the Fiddler root certificate. Yeah, this is not helping me. Let's see here. I've got to see what that address was. So let's see, root certificate. This is probably the more difficult portion. If we do Windows Phone, I think they have an article for that. Capture Windows Client. Now the machine. iOS, I may try this. It's probably very similar. Okay, yep, on the iOS device, go to the IPv4.fiddler8888. So, okay, I think that's what I need to do is actually navigate to that same address inside of a web browser. So I'm going to pop into here, and we're going to just grab, I don't know, another page here. So this JS bin. And we'll type, so that IP address was, I really should have made sure this was set up before I started the broadcast, but I totally forgot about this step. So we're going to go to 10.106 Fiddler Echo Service. Oh, actually, I think it's already in here. 176.22 is what I want to get. Let's try this. Yep. That does not look like what I want. Okay, let's try this one more time. Well, probably not much. Let's see. You have to excuse the on-screen issues here. 10 dots. Let's try the echo service. It's not 77. It's going to be 22. (176.22:8888). So the Fiddler Echo service is working. You can see that here. So now what I need to do is get this Fiddler root certificate. Save it. It's downloaded. Oh, install, yes. All right, now it is installed. So I should be able to go back to Edge and jump back into my page here. And now if I load up a site, so I'm going to go ahead and pull this off to the side. We'll drop that here. We're going to make sure we have Fiddler open up so you can see what's happening. And now we should be in business. So you can see there's quite a bit more stuff happening here now. I'm going to drop all of that out, start to capture. Here's my phone. Now we're going to type in Bing. So you can see those requests going to Bing. We're just going to do a search for SoundCloud. So you can see here is that request right here that just went out that we captured. So if I wanted to, I could take this request. Let's stop capturing for just a second. I'm going to grab this request. I'm going to pull it over and then make a quick modification to that. So we're going to edit the file with, and then we'll click, let's see, we'll click, where is it? Visual Studio Code. And let's see here. Trying to pull up the broadcast on my other screen here so I can actually make sure that the screen looks the way I expect it to look. Yep. Okay. So we are now looking at. Now you notice in this case, one thing I failed to do is I failed to decode the page. So this is not at all what we expect to see. We can go ahead and close that, and we can just, let's see, I'm going to go ahead and just remove this. I'm going to select this again, decode, and now I'll pull it over. And now we'll go and edit file with, and we'll select the Visual Studio Code. So at this point, we should see it open up and actually be some intelligible code inside here. Sure enough, it is. So I'm going to open that up, and it's all minified, but that's okay. We can do still a bit of work here. What I want to do is come down, and we'll just come down to the bottom of all this CSS here. And at the very end of this CSS, I'm going to put one rule that just says body transform translate 180 degrees. Important, just to make sure that gets applied. And save this. So now if we minimize this, we delete all of those stored sessions, and I open up my phone again. Let me make sure you can see it. So here's what we're looking at. If I turn on capturing, switch back to my phone, and I refresh this page, we're going to get the same page, but I suspect we should see the transformation to the body. Doesn't look like it's happening actually. You can see that the actual modified file is here though. Let's try, instead of body, let's try on everything. Transform, translate, 180 degrees, that sounds correct. Although I don't know what's going on. This is interesting. This is a massive, massive file, so it's actually taken quite a bit of power to manipulate that. Let's see, let's go ahead and edit response. Cannot edit the response, so something's wrong here. Maybe it's because I still have stuff opened up. Interesting. Okay, well, this is not working at all the way I expected it to. Let's jump back here. Let's just go to Bing again. SoundCloud. There's that manipulated file. We're going to go ahead and do edit file with and Visual Studio Code. Let's see, I'm trying to fix up my desktop over on the other screen. Okay, so let's see here. I want to find inside here the title of this. So if we look at the phone, got quite a few windows open up, so just give me 1 second here. We'll be able to get back that in action. So, okay. Let's see. I want to find the title, so we're going to do a quick search for title. It didn't find a title. Oh, there it is. Title is SoundCloud Bing. Let's change it to hello. We'll save this. Now we want to see if refreshing this actually changes the title on the phone. So, okay, so there's the new request goes through. Open this up, and you can see actually the title of this window now is hello. So we're confirming that like Fiddler is actually able to intercept this traffic, make the changes, and then spit out the local document as opposed to going to the server. I just had a magnet like explode on my desk. Anyway, as opposed to going to the server and picking up a copy from the Bing service, which is where we originally got the initial file from. So I'm going to go ahead and close this now. Actually, manipulate, make it smaller, put it off to the side. And then I want to jump over to that A tag site that we had from earlier. So this one here. And I'll be able to open up again. So this is a site that we were looking at before. And this is a site that I want to be able to manipulate. So we're going to go ahead and right click, decode, and pull this over to the side. And I'm going to go ahead and edit the file with. And we're going to grab Visual Studio Code. And we'll shrink that down. So now we have Visual Studio Code and this app opened up side by side. Or Visual Studio Code and Project My Screen open up side by side. Just to really quickly confirm that this works, there's this remember button. We can change this to forget. We'll save that. We'll refresh the page. And we should see remember change to forget. In fact, we see nothing. Why do we see nothing? Let's see if we change it back to remember. It may be due to the content length. Okay. So if we changed FORGET and we put 2 spaces there. I'm really curious if this is going to work. Yep, okay, so it's the content length. Forget is a shorter amount of content than remember, so we have this issue where for whatever reason that invalidated the response and it says, I'm sorry, your content is too long and the declared content is too long, the actual content is too short. I think we might actually be able to put quite a bit more spaces in here and still have it work. Let me just confirm it real quick because it might only be a one-way deal. Nope, looks like it's just going to require things to be the same length as the actual content. Unless I strip out the content length header. Is there a content length header? There actually is not. There's content type. Last modified. Yep, content length is right here. If I take that out, maybe this will work just fine. Doesn't look like it. Wow, this is a really took me by surprise here. So if we have that in there, it's the right thing, the right size. I think this is really only an issue that you have to deal with. If we wanted to take out those 2 characters and we save that, we do this. I believe all we'd have to really do to keep the shorter one is just to reduce the content length from 5784 to 5782, since we took out 2 characters that we didn't actually replace. And so now it's going to work again because the content length actually matches the real content length of the document. So in this case, what I want to do is I want to look at the JavaScript file that comes down that actually contains that logic inside of it that says, whenever you focus on something or blur something, we want to change that viewport. In fact, I could just take out the viewport altogether. So this viewport right here is 68 characters. So if I were to take out those 68 characters, that would be, what is that, 82 minus 68 is going to be 14, so 5714. And let's see if we still get the same issue. We might actually have a differently sized page. Page still works. Email still goes away. Password still goes away. So there's still something at play here that is causing this particular issue. We can zoom in. So this is, you can see this is probably the issue they were trying to prevent with the viewport logic, where whenever you actually blur on something, it shrinks it back down, just in case you might have zoomed in all the way like this. So let's figure out what else might be at play here. Let's see, we're going to go down to these forms, and we will take a quick look at these particular inputs. And I want to look at here's the form control input medium. So this looks like we're actually using something like Bootstrap maybe. So there are placeholders on these with a value of empty. I want to see if we take the IDs off of these. So this is taking off 13. That means we'd have to reduce the content length down 13. So it'd be 01. So let's try this again. So now there is no ID on the password field. Still getting blocked. Usually you don't have to mess with this stuff up here. You're usually able to just go in and start making changes to the file. Let's take away these classes on the password. So this is 41 characters. 42 characters. So that would be 701 minus the 42. Oops. So it'd be 659. So we have to reduce that down. Refresh. So we should see the password field start to look different because we're ripping classes off of there. It's still getting lost. So another thing that I'm thinking might be happening is event bubbling, which means whenever an event takes place on this particular field, it bubbles up and gets captured by something else that is then manipulating the focus of the document as well. So we have quite a bit of stuff over here. I want to go down and look at maybe some of the JavaScript. So we have jQuery select to. This is interesting. I wonder what those files look like. So I want to pull up the site over here again. Let's pull up a tag and quickly inspect. So this is actually giving me the warning about Fiddler's certificate, so I can just go ahead and continue this. You notice there's a certificate error here. This is telling me I'm not using the site's actual certificate. I don't have a real secure connection. And let's expand this and jump into the actual debugger and look at some of these files that are being loaded in jQuery. Actually, more specifically, what we can do is look at the specific file that is contains the focus event that we were looking at earlier. So that is platform. And if we want to, we can jump into Fiddler and we can find the platform file. And once we, oops, Fiddler is not responding. Giovanni Batista. Alô? Eu tenho que lembrar de anunciar pelo Twitter que eu falo português também. Então, deve ser mais brasileiros que assistir, que ajudar a arrumar o web. Mas nossa, o Fiddler já congelou. Okay, so Fiddler is completely frozen up on me. Let me try to stop and restart it. Which would be helpful because it'll clear up my sessions. It'll help me find the platform file much faster. So we are in business here. Let's do end task on Fiddler. And we'll go ahead and run that one more time. All right, so we're back in Fiddler. Let me try this again. We'll call this site. And we're looking for the public file. So here's a bunch of JavaScript that's being loaded down here. It's presumably one of those. So we'll maximize this, expand, and it looks, or platform rather. Okay, so here's the platform file. We'll decode that, pull it over here. Now, one thing that I think we're going to run into is, yes, you notice the code is really badly formatted. It's minified, obviously, for compression and performance sake. But what we need to be able to find in here is the focus and blur events. So let's look for focus. And there's a dot focus. We're actually looking for, if I recall correctly, the focus and blur strings. Here it is. So if we run inside here, and again, I know this is really small, I apologize. But this line of code right here, we have a bind, focus, blur, function, attention, content. That's where it sets it all, and then we're on to a different thing now. So I don't know if I can make this, no, I can't make this any larger. But essentially what we have inside here is the input, select, and text area. I want to go ahead and I'm going to add just a piece to this that will break it. I'm going to say, you know, ones that are foo. So if it is foo, then we'll go ahead and keep it and continue forward. So this should break all of those, especially for the mobile. So let me go ahead and pull this up, refresh. And platform looks like it got recreated. Let me delete all of this just to make sure we are indeed getting the custom platform file. So the page itself hasn't been changed, but the platform file has. And yet, whenever we look at the page, we are still seeing the keyboard drop out of view immediately. So let's try some more stuff. I'm going to try, one of the just kind of craziest things you can do is come all the way up to the very top and turn off all the JavaScript just by adding /* to the entire file. And this is going to comment out all of the JavaScript to see if it looks like JavaScript is to blame. So let's refresh the page. we get the custom platform file, and you'll notice there's actually no JavaScript on the page. This is likely because part of that JavaScript is there to render the page. So let's see if we open this up inside Notepad. I'm thinking the only thing is I don't want to get the header content inside there and wind up having an issue with the content length like we were having before. And Visual Studio Code, there we go. Let me see if this brings the header stuff inside here. Nope, excellent. So we should be okay here. This is JavaScript that's properly identified. I can go ahead and delete this comment at the very beginning, making this all valid code to be executed. And let's bump up the screen size, or the font size, just a little bit as well. So at the very start of this, we have apply correct body padding. This is a function that comes in, looks like it grabs the body, CSS, that's the padding top, equal to the navbar outer height. So we can, let's see, skip over that part. There's the update the front end function. This looks like it goes in, it grabs all of the inputs that are not of type file and sets the opacity to 1. Then it grabs the navbar collapse with an in class, and if the length is greater than 1, so if there are multiple items inside that collection, what it does is it clicks the navbar toggle, invokes a click on the navbar toggle, and then init validation, so that is likely some form related to validation function. If the init select equals undefined, or if there is not an init select, or if init select. So this is more leveraging of some clever JavaScript syntax. If this is false and this is false, then they call init select. We also have in size field sex equals undefined or not in size. So they're doing the same thing here again. And here again. So it's quite a bit of this particular pattern here. I'm wondering if I actually have to run out of the office here before too long, but it looks like I'm not going to be able to find the portion of this that causes the page to be rendered. So this is one of those things. Let's see, visibility visible. Okay. So visibility visible looks like the portion that we just need to run. So I guess there's CSS in there that sets the body to be visibility hidden. So let's go ahead and copy this. And I'll drop it straight up at the very top of the document. All right, we save that. Close this, and we're back in business. Let's see if we can refresh this now and see the page working. So I'll delete all of my sessions here and refresh. So our custom platform file should have that visibility visible line of code at the very top of it, which should cause the body to be visible. It's still not showing though. Let's jump in here and try something else. So just to make sure that is working, I'm going to try to put an alert in here. And we'll refresh that. I don't know if alerts actually will work on the Windows Phone, or if that's one of those things that we're starting to pull out. What I can do is document.title equals working. So what we'll do now is if this actually replaces the document title, which is the web page title, then we'll actually know that the scripting is actually being executed. So we'll refresh this. Once that refreshes, let me pull up this here on the side. I can go into my tab view. It doesn't look like this code is actually being ran. So there might be a scripting error that's occurring before this even gets before it even gets this far. So it looks like I'm not going to be able to figure this out in the short amount of time that I had hoped for. There's something definitely going on here. I want to see if, so if I save this, do we wind up getting, let me take off this is foo stuff. And refresh. Okay, so this file, if I'm working here, this file continues to function as expected. Let's see, a nova versão que será lançado dia 2º de agosto terá suporte para extensões. Thiago, sim, vai ter. So anyone who's kind of wondering what this conversation is, someone just asked, let me actually hide this real quick, and hide this real quick, and hide this real quick, and switch back to the top center view. I may not be able to actually debug this right now, unfortunately. It's just, it seems like it's going to require just a bit more work. But for anyone who's, let's see. I want to make sure this is actually showing all the latest chat. So let me close Fiddler. Refresh my chat window. Great, this is like just, I think this is my concern with using a web proxy debugger while I have components of this broadcast that require the network to continue to work, and especially whenever you start to accept the Fiddler certificate and stuff like that, it's possible that it could really cause some problems for the general broadcast itself. So I might have to spin up, basically I'm getting chat messages on my desktop where I'm not running Fiddler. I am not getting chat messages on the Surface Book where I am running Fiddler, where I was running Fiddler more precisely. So I wonder if I need to just go ahead and close that and then start the whole thing again. So I'm going to try to pull the chat out. Oops. Computers. Okay, pop out chat. All right, so this should work now. So complicated. So there was this question here from Thiago R. Thiago Ehi. He was asking the new version, will it come in on August the 2nd? Will it have support for extensions? And I just was making sure I said yes, it did. And then Thiago says, seria bom uma opção de configuração opcional para limpar o histórico completo outside the edge. So he's saying an option in configurations that will delete everything whenever you leave Edge. And I remember we had that support in IE, and we actually have the support in Edge as well. I wonder if it was here on 10.586. Let me just double check. Thiago, me deixa procurar alguma coisa para você, porque eu acho que a gente já tinha esse suporte para limpar tudo quando você está saindo do Edge. Um segundo, me deixa ver. Aqui, se você ir para os Settings, vamos ver. E limpar o dado. Não tem no suporte aqui em 10.500. Não. 10.586 essa versão aqui. Pode colocar WinVer para ver qual versão você tem. Essa é 10.586. Mas no próximo versão do Edge, que está saindo o 2º dia de agosto, vai ter essa habilidade de limpar tudo quando você está fechando a janela, ou fechando o Edge. O Wesley está confirmando agora que já tem essa habilidade. Então, vai existe quando você recebe os disponíveis ou atualizações de segundo dia de agosto. Então, você pode fazer isso nesse dia e além desse dia. Então, acho que eu vou parar essa broadcast. I'm going to go ahead and stop right now because there's just some complicated things happening right now with Fiddler. Again, whenever you're dealing with something, a web proxy debugger in particular, that's going to start manipulating the data that's happening between yourself and the end server, or between yourself and the proxy debugger itself, doing that while you're actively broadcasting using your network, that can be a little bit difficult for obvious reasons. So I'm going to stop the broadcast. I will be looking at these bugs, though. I appreciate the patience of everyone who kind of stuck through this second one in particular. This broadcast was a little bit tough because we had the Fiddler certificate issue that we had to resolve, and then we have the issue where the chat is dying because the Fiddler certificate is kind of tainting the web a little bit for us and making it not possible to pull down the new updates and maybe even breaking my session with YouTube. I'm not quite sure. Either way, I do appreciate everyone hanging out with me just a bit. Your questions. Se você é uma brasileira, você fala português, você pode falar por todo mundo que você conhece, que a gente pode fazer as sessões em português também, se você quiser. So yeah, if you know Brazilians who want to kind of get some assistance with Microsoft Edge or Portuguese speakers, feel free to refer them, and I'm more than happy to try and assist there as well. Ja говорить по-русски тоже, но не очень хорошо. And so, yeah, I'm more than happy to help out as possible. So everybody, thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening. Boa noite. До свидания. And take care. Bye.